long enough for it to surface. I know you in a lot of pain, we all go through it. The devil stay busy with a negative influence. He always comes around when there's misery and self-doubt, and leads you to believe that suicide is the way out. But suicide's a choice, and you don't have to choose. And if you put the knife down, the devil gon' lose. God makes you stronger, and the answer's in the sky. You can ask him anything, you can ask him why. Whoa, take it easy, you wasn't meant to die today. Please put the knife down, take my hand and let's pray. Take my hand. When my life took a nosedive, when my world crashed, I lost my grandma and great-grand in back-to-back years. I can't remember nothing, just so many tears. But they always told me I can trust in God, and He can fix anything, even your heart. They never lied to me, always told me the truth, and prepared me for the future to have knowledge for my youth. But enough about me, it's really nice to meet you. I wish it was under better circumstances, don't you? Your life is so precious, I just need some time to show you. Cause if you die today, a part of me gon' die with you. Please, put the knife down. For listening, and it's gonna be alright. I'm gonna give you some tissue, you give me the knife. Thank you for the knife, thank you for choosing life. Thank you for receiving this message from Christ. Now give me a hug, feel the power of God's love. There's a million angels rejoicing from the heavens above. Now before we move forward, I got something to say. If my grandmother was here, she wouldn't have it no other way. Don't ever do this again, tough love is only right. You gon' have some bad days and it's gon' be a fight. That's when you lean on Christ, live by faith and not sight. Now let's get on both knees and thank God for our precious life. Thank you, God.